I have a problem. I have been reading lots of books, but none of them have been on my TBR. I made a whole video that was like, these are all of the books that I'm really excited about that are coming out in 2025, and also books that I want to prioritize and read. Like, these are the ones that are on my TBR this year that I want to get to. And then I get distracted by other books, or I'm in the mood for other books that aren't on the list, and so I just go off elsewhere. But the books on the list are still ones that I want to get to, and so I have roped in my assistant Moog to help me. Now, Moog and I talk about books a lot. Moog, I think, also reads a lot more than me too. So they're always reading a good book and have lots of book recommendations. We also have fairly similar taste, like there is an overlap in the books that we read. However, we also have very different tastes, or at least very different things that we are looking for out of a book. And so I asked them to pick my next 3 reads. 2 of these reads had to be from my TBR. They had to be on that list. And then I allowed them 1 wildcard because I can't help myself. I like to know what I don't know. But before we get into the picks, I want me and Moog to explain a bit more about where our tastes overlap and where they differ.
Okay, so we have pretty similar reading taste. Like, we pick up the same books, but we come at them from a different point. So I am over here going, I want more character, and you're always going, I want more plot.
Yeah.
Like, I especially noticed when you read Assassin's Apprentice, which is, I love the Robin Hobb series. It's one of my favorite series.
Yeah.
I
I struggled, but I want to come back to it now.
Yeah. I think you would get on better with the second series and you can come back. I think you should start with A Ship of Magic because it's got pirates and it's got more plot.
Okay.
But that was definitely, I remember doing that reading vlog and going, Hannah's just telling me that there is no plot in this book, but there is so much plot in this book. So that was where I was coming from.
Yeah.
And again, I was going to pick, one of my picks was going to be The Will of the Many, but you just finished that. So you'd started reading that, which I read, gave up halfway through. It was like, I don't want this, but Hannah really wants this.
I did want it. I did.
You did.
I really noticed it when we both read A Court of Mist and Fury, the second ACOTAR book, because I was getting very into, and Feyre was like a spy in her like espionage mode, infiltration. And then it was over. And I was like, what? More of that? And when I told you that, you were like, oh, that bit was boring.
It's not why I'm there. I'm there for her healing in the nice house.
Yeah. Yeah. We want different things.
That's why that one's my favourite, not the other 3.
That one is also my favourite book of the series.
That's so impressive.
For different reasons.
Yes.
And so, with that in mind, these are the books that Moog picked for me to read.
Last night I finished listening to The Will of the Many by James Islington, and this is not that video, but oh my god, I feel like I've read it at the perfect time because the next installment comes out very soon. But for me, I know I've read a good book when I immediately like want to read another. So I am taking advantage of this reading momentum and enthusiasm, and I'm gonna take a look at the books that Moog, my assistant, has picked for me to read. Let's see what these books are, right? So I asked Moog to pick me 2 books that are on my TBR and then 1 wild card. They have picked A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This was probably the one on my TBR that I was the least likely to get around to, but I know that Moog just wants to hear my thoughts on it. So, doing this for you. Okay, interesting. And then the other one that's on my TBR, is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sandhu Mandana. Oh, wait, or you're cheating here, Moog. Or City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. They've said a cozy fantasy option if you want an easier read, or another large fantasy if you're still in the mood. I appreciate you, Moog. Obviously, both of these are on my TBR. And then the wild card is The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. Never even heard of it. Okay. Ooh. Right, so I have a physical copy of A Deadly Education. I'm currently in the market for an audiobook, so I will read that, I promise, at some point. But right now I'm looking for my next audiobook read for when I'm out and about pushing this child in the buggy today. You alright, Ryan? Okay, so let's read about The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. And then, of course, I need to pick one that has a good narrator. as well. Right, Storygraph is being slow. Come on, Storygraph, you can do it. It sounds fantasy to me. Just the title it's giving fantasy. Last hour between... Ooh, the front cover is very... What is it, very? It's giving me Starless Sea, Secret History. Is it Dark Academia? Let's see. Right. Kembrel Thorne is spending a few hours away from her newborn. Ooh, okay, there's a mum. And she's determined to enjoy herself at this party no matter what. But when the guests start dropping dead, Kem has no choice but to get to work. She is a hound, after all, that's with a capital H, and she can't help picking up the scent of trouble. Okay, so it is fiction, fantasy, LGBTQIA+. These are the like tags on Storygraph: adventurous, funny, mysterious, medium paced. Okay, there's more of the blurb, but actually I'm not even going to read more of the blurb because I kind of just like not knowing a lot of the time. I'm happy just to go off a recommendation. This is a series. It is book 1 in the Echo archives. How many books are there currently? 2. Oh wait, the second one it says comes out in 2025. I don't know when. Is it out? August. Okay, so this could be another one where it's like good timing because the second one's like coming soon. Okay, do you know what? I'm gonna let the audiobook be the big decider. So the Last Hour Between Worlds, obviously I'm definitely gonna read, but then I still need to pick between Irregular Witches and City of Brass. Oh, am I in the mood for another big epic fantasy?
I want my picture too.
You want your picture taken?
Yeah.
You want to come and have a look at yourself? Come here. You want to see yourself in the video. You tell me which voice you like best, Rowan, okay? So, question is, does Zigzag have the audiobook? And then do I like the narrator? Okay, Last Hour Between Worlds is on Zigzag.
12 o'clock. It happens most often to children. Their grip on reality is loose to begin with.
Okay, English. An English accent. I like it. Is the author also British? So this is historical fantasy, epic fantasy. Okay, cool. That narrator voice was Moira Kirk. Which one's my name? Can you find M for mummy? Yeah, that's right.
2. Nahari.
This one, Mommy?
Yeah.
Something happened to that girl. Nahari picked through the pastry crumbs of her long-devoured vitir.
I'm not as big of a fan of that. I feel like I felt warm feelings when hearing my own accent.
Cake, banana cake. Cake, banana cake. Cake, banana cake.
Cake, nana cake. Right, it's really hot though, no, we can't touch it yet.
Well, it's chocolate cake.
It's not a chocolate cake, it's a banana cake. So that's City of Brass. I'm sure, like, I tend to be able to get into most narrators, but immediately not grabbing me. And then Secret Society for Irregular Witches.
Chapter 21.
Oh.
6 chocolate bars, 3 speed spells. 30 minutes later, they stopped in the woods again.
I think we're gonna start with the Secret Society for Irregular Witches. Samara McLaren, your voice instantly got me. Right, let's buy this. And because I've used Zigzag a lot, I'm now in the cheapest one. So all of my Zigzag books are costing me £3.99. Although I think I'm coming up to a year of using it, so it'll reset. So I need to make sure I make the most of my audiobooks being £3.99. Right, bro, we're almost ready to go now, okay?
Yay!
Oh.
Mommy, I want to go down. I want to go down. I want to go down. Let me go down.
Oh, ow.
Let me go down.
Your head is so hard. Let's not do that again. Right, okay. Gonna listen to this book today.
Okay, so this list, these 3 books that you picked for me, how, why?
Oh, why? So 2 of them had to be from your TBR.
Yeah.
Which again, when you did the Patreon, the TCR TBR, it was we'd both read about 2/3, but we didn't really overlap. We'd both read sort of separately. So I was trying to pick, I was picking from books that I had read, more or less.
Yeah.
And so the first one, I definitely wanted to start with A Deadly Education because I loved it. But also, I remember you reading the first chapter and being like, I'll come back. It's fine. It's not doing anything special.
Yeah.
Which was how I felt the first time I read it, because the first time I read it, I wanted like Naomi Novik's like Spinning Silver, like fairy tale, very sort of transportive, romantic, like not romantic like romance, although also yes, but that.
Oh, okay.
But this was definitely like it's a different tone from her other stuff. And I read it again right after I'd had COVID and couldn't really retain anything new, so I was just reading stuff I'd already read. It just fell in love, read the whole series in about a month, sobbed my face off.
Okay. I mean, after I said in that video, like, I could leave it, there was still a lot of my patrons being like, but Hannah, please give it another chance.
Hello.
Hi,
Because
Kat.
we are right. Hello, that was Poplar. We are right, and if you don't like it, you are wrong. I just want you to know that going.
Okay.
Opinions vary, and everyone has their opinions, but also I am right about this. So,
Yeah.
and then the second one, I gave you 2 choices because I didn't want to just overload you with fantasy.
But they're both fantasy, no?
Yeah, but I think of one of them as like soft fantasy. Like I would
Okay.
read, what's it, The Secret Society of Irregular Witches? No,
Yeah.
that's not what it's called.
That is what it's called.
It is?
Yeah.
I would read that when I'm like, I want to break from fantasy.
I see that. Yeah. And actually, out of the 2, so Secret Society of Irregular Witches and the other one that you gave me the choice of was City of Brass. I'm going to read the Irregular Witches one because having just read Will of the Many, I do need a break from fantasy. So similar thought process.
Yeah. Yeah, see, it's a break. It's a romance with fantasy.
Yeah. Okay.
So that one, yeah, I wanted to give you a break from my reading, which is like mostly all fantasy all the time, but also give you a book that I'd read. And yeah, it's like, I think you'll like it. I think you might want more world building, but I think you'll like it.
Okay. We shall see. And then the third one was a wild card that I'd never heard of before, which is The Last Hour Between Worlds. Why did you pick this one? Although I think I can guess.
I think you can guess. Yeah, I don't think it's a particularly hard guess. So I picked this one because you were saying in a different reading video that you wanted more fantasy where the main character was a mum.
Yeah.
And in this one, the main character has just had a baby. No, not a newborn, but this is her first. The plot starts with her at her first like work event that she's left her baby with someone else to go to, and then sort of fantasy time heist murder mystery. And I thought like that feels like Hannah. It's got a lot of plot, and it's got a mum main character, so it has to be that one.
I'm definitely intrigued and surprised I haven't heard of it before.
Yeah, I feel like when you said you hadn't, I was like, but why?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Do you have any predictions for like which ones I might like more than others?
Predictions. So I think, like I said, I think you'll want more world building in the Secret Society book because it's a cozy fantasy. I don't think it's going to give you all the nitty gritty that you want. But I think
the politics and the magic system.
Yeah, but I also want politics in the magic system, but I don't want Will of the Many. I want Robin Hobb. Other predictions: A Deadly Education. I really don't know where you'll fall on A Deadly Education. I don't think you'll have the same problems with it dark academia wise as you did with Secret History because it's a completely different tone. I think if you don't like it, I think the problem will be the POV voice.
Okay.
I think that's what will be the problem. But as I've discussed, you're not right about that. If future you is not right, potentially.
Okay.
Though obviously I will respect your opinion.
To an extent.
And then The Last Hour Between Worlds. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. I think that's what I'm going with. I thought you'd like it when I read it, so I'm going to stick with I think you'll like it.
Did you like it when you read it?
I liked it. I wanted less plot, more character.
Classic. Okay, so that's
why I thought
that's a good sign.
Exactly. That was my thinking. but not much less plot. I just wanted a little bit less plot, more character, and also it's gay, so that's all immediate plus.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm gonna get reading these recommendations now, and I will get back to you. We will come back together and have our own little mini book club.
Yeah. Little recap. And the important part to remember is that we need to know that I'm right. Except also, no, the important part is that you like the books. And then the second most is that I'm right.
Okay, we will see. To be continued.
Okay, so all that's left to do is read these books. But first, I want to thank this video sponsor, Squarespace. So whether you're just starting out in the world or you're a small business owner, Squarespace makes it super easy to create your own beautiful websites, engage your audience, and sell anything from physical and digital products to even courses and your time, all in one place and all on your terms. I have been using Squarespace for years for my professional websites and various projects and things that I have created over the years, and it is so intuitive and so easy to use as somebody who has no website design experience. And Squarespace's new design intelligence empowers anyone to build a beautiful and personalized website that is tailored to you using AI technology. They have tons of different templates that you can choose from. You just pick the best one for you, and then you can customize it with all of your own branding and content and assets. get those sweet, sweet assets. And Squarespace also has a huge suite of visual design tools to help you create a really engaging website. The visual design effects are built in and ready to go on any Squarespace website, and there are loads of options to suit whatever your purpose, brand, or business. So if you are in need of your own website, then head to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And then when you're ready to launch into the world, you can go to squarespace.com/morehannah to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. And now onto the books.
So I have an hour left in this book and I haven't filmed a single reading vlog update. I honestly forgot. I was so engrossed in this book that I'd actually completely removed from my brain that I needed to be like thinking about this book in a way where I would then have to talk about it and explain my thoughts. And if anything, that goes to show how good this book is and how much I love it, because I was just engrossed. I was just in it. I have an hour left. We're in like the climax of the story, and I am so glad that Moog put this on the list, because when I did that video where I read the first chapters of loads of the books that were on the TCR TBR, the common room, my Patreon's like TBR collective community, like TBR list that we've created, this one I think was maybe top of my list. It was like, oh yeah, after the first chapter, I was like, boom, I'm in. And then I don't know what happened, but after time passed, it just hadn't been a priority. I wasn't like, oh yeah, I really want to get to reading that, because I think the premise of the story is a bit like fine for me. There's not like something that immediately captures my interest, like which goes to look after some kids, and it's kind of like cozy fantasy found family vibes, and I'm like, yeah, I've read some of that. It's not like my favorite, but it's cute and I like it, whatever. But the reason why it was top of my list, I think, was because I was just captivated by the writing. And so it was a familiar concept, but just executed brilliantly. And so I think the reason why it dropped down in my priorities is because having read it, that wasn't like fresh in my mind. And then the moment that I was like back into the writing of it, I was like, oh yeah, this is why I was so excited to read it. So the concept wasn't like selling it for me, but the writing and the execution absolutely has. So loving it, loving every second. All the characters, beautiful, adore them all. The narrator, great, excellent, does all of the voices of all of the characters, and I just like feel very immersed in the whole story. It's very funny, it's very moving. I truly believe all of the characters' like motivations and reasons for doing things. The magic in it is also kind of cool, like the little glimpses you get into this version of witchcraft and the lore and the history and the politics of witches. Is there going to be a second book? Because there's like obviously the focus on the relationships between all of the characters. There's a very like slow burn romance. I actually don't know if I'm using the term slow burn correctly, because I don't think I read much slow burn romance, but when I compare it to the other romances I read, this feels very slow burn to me, and I'm kind of liking it. But yes, whilst the focus is on all the relationships, obviously you get little bits of the fantasy magic systemy thing, and I'm like, there is more here to explore. But maybe that's the like high fantasy, big fantasy book reader in me that then wants book 2 to like zoom out of the personal relationships and go, ah, political intrigue and like who's gonna break the curse and like all of that kind of stuff. And maybe this is not the series for that, but there is an element of me that's like, oh, I want to know more. But I still very much am enjoying the cozy fantasy vibes of it. I feel like it is gonna like end happily ever after. I'm not quite sure like how they're gonna get there yet. There was like a twisty McTwist, or a reveal, if you will, where I kind of knew that there was probably something up with that thingamabob, but I didn't predict what that thing was. So that was very satisfying. Anyway, loving it. I will try and do better checking in on the reading vlog with the other books, but I think it's just because I have no notes. No notes. Perfect book. Love it. I finished The Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and it was so good. I'm not gonna give my like full thoughts and review here. I'm gonna save that for all of the books at the end of the video, but so glad that Moog picked this one on the list, because actually I never was feeling in the mood to read it, even though I'd been really into that first chapter. So I just needed clearly a gentle nudge, like, you're gonna like this. Next up, oh, I can see it on the shelf. Ooh. So I have A Deadly Education. This is the copy that I found in a charity shop. So I have a physical copy of this one. I'm currently reading, though, this is for my local bookshop book club, Orbital by Samantha Harvey. So very short one, and that is next week, the book club for that anyway. So once that is done, then I will move on to A Deadly Education. I know why they've put it on the list, but still. This was probably one of those books that I was like, I'm good, but I'm now intrigued. I enjoy that I'm being forced to read this now, but if it was up to me, I probably wouldn't have bothered. So we shall see. And then I'm gonna download the audiobook of the other one, which I've already forgotten the name of. The Last Hour Between Worlds. So I'm gonna audiobook that, and we're cracking on. We're cracking on. I am 3 hours into The Last Hour Between Worlds, and I have mixed feelings. So on the surface, on paper, this feels like a really good recommendation for me. It's fantasy, our main character is a mum, like it's ticking a lot of boxes. However, I'm struggling with the execution, and this is going to seem ridiculous because I am notoriously a plot girl, and Moog, my assistant who's recommended me these books, is a character vibes kind of reader. And we often joke about reading the same books and having completely different experiences with them because of our reading preferences. Now, this book hits you with plot. It is just plot, go, 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 go. And so that should be right up my street, right? Right? But I feel like I have motion sickness. I am struggling. I'm also struggling to pinpoint what it is about it that is just not quite clicking with me. So we've got our main character, Kembrel. She's a new mum. She's got a 2-month-old who is at home, being looked after by her sister. It's her first night out since being a mum. It's a New Year's Eve of sorts party, and there are lots of people there from her work life. She's a hound, there are also cats, there are ravens, and these are all kind of like, I don't know, I'm getting like secret operative vibes. And then there are echoes, which are the different layers of reality, and they live in prime. And then there are other layers, and I guess reality warps and just gets more and more surreal as you go down. So the echoes are these layers, but then there are also echoes that are creatures from these layers. So an echo is a layer of reality, but it's also a creature. Anyway, it's fine. I feel like I am understanding most of what's happening. So it's not that I'm lost, it's more that I haven't had a fucking chance to breathe. And so I'm questioning if I truly am like a die-hard plot girl after all, because I feel like this book is pure plot. We have had very little like world building or explanations of the magic system, also like character backstory and all of these things. Like they're being sprinkled in, but whilst the plot is still like moving forwards, rather than like having a moment of like, okay, let's come away from that now and now go over here for a bit and have a breather and learn about something else. I'm exhausted. And so I feel like I have gotten on a treadmill of a story and I'm following and I'm running, but I'm like, is there gonna be a detour? Like, do we slow down at any point? Can we stop the treadmill at any point? No, it's just like fucking go, 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 go. And it's quite intense. An element of the plot is kind of reminding me of The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, if that's a book that you have read, just because of the like reliving the same event over and over again and like trying to solve a mystery. So there's that, which is kind of cool. I'm enjoying it, I think. I have no idea where it's going, but I don't know. There is something about it that is destabilizing me. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how we go. We're 3 hours in, and I think like 9 hours left or something. I don't know. It's a longish book, so we crack on. Okay. How far through this book am I? Alrighty, folks. I feel I must be over halfway through this book now. How many hours in am I? I am over 7 hours in. We're locked in. Right. But I've had some further thoughts about my like motion sickness and claustrophobia with this book. So it has now become abundantly clear to me that this book started at a party and the whole book is this party, but with different layers of reality and time going back on itself and all of that kind of stuff. Fun. Very 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. It's kind of reminding me of that book. And again, I'm probably going to compare this book to other books that I enjoyed and say that the things that I don't like about it are also things that other books that I like do, which makes no sense. but it is what it is. It must be, I don't know, in the execution, in the vibes, something's off. And like, I'm enjoying it. I wanna know what the mystery is, and I wanna see our good guys triumph, but I'm a bit bored. And I'll come back to that, but structurally first, I think that maybe what I needed from this book was a bit of a prologue, or just at least one chapter that took place before the party started, just to like, I don't know, situate ourselves, something, because I just felt like it just started and now I'm like running on this plot treadmill. Is this a case of like, I keep on telling Moog, I just like plot, and so Moog has now offered me like the plottiest plotty book of all and been like, so how you like them apples? Is that what's happening here? And I'm like, actually I don't like this as much. I need more fluff. But back to me being bored. Here's the thing. Our main character, Kimbrel, you know, she's a mum. She's 2 months postpartum. Gotta give it to her for that. But she's just too competent. She's too good at her job. She's too noble and brave and courageous and smart. Like, she's all of these excellent things in a person, in a book character. She's too good. I don't believe that she's actually in any kind of mortal danger, which she is, like factually based on the events of the book. But I don't believe it, you know? She's too competent. And clearly I do not like a competent, like, hero. Like, has she made any mistakes? Or, I don't know. It's just, you know, when you just feel a bit too safe? Like, the stakes are huge, and yet I don't emotionally feel them or buy into the stakes. Even though she's a mum and has like a 2-month-old baby at home while she's slaying monsters and she's like, I must protect my daughter. Obviously that's something that I could relate to, not the slaying monsters part, but like the protective like thing, being a parent, and yet I don't believe the stakes and she's just too good at her job. Women can't win in this world, kind of thing. A fun thing about this book though is that there is a lot of sapphic longing. Right at the beginning of the book, when she mentioned that she was going to the party and her sister was babysitting, I was like, no dad in the picture. What's going on here? And then like the person who got her pregnant has been like briefly mentioned, but he seems fairly insignificant. But there is a main woman love interest and I'm kind of enjoying their dynamic. Again, they're kind of both a bit too competent, but the dynamic is quite interesting. So like off page, before we entered this story, they'd kind of already been on a bit of a journey where they've gone from like being like professional rivals to unlikely friends to maybe romantically involved to betrayal and now enemies. And so you start the book with them like being enemies and obviously they're like figuring their way back together. So that's cool, but they're just both too competent. Oh dear. But yeah, I'm gonna finish this book. I'm intrigued to see how the mystery unravels, but I kind of think they're all going to be fine. I don't feel like, you know. Also, forgot to mention, but finished Orbital, didn't like it. That's fine, that's not part of this reading vlog, which means I can now move on to A Deadly Education, which smells good. I'll give it that. But the first chapter when I did that video did not vibe with me, but so many people in my Patreon Discord server like love this series. Love this series. So Moog is now making me read it. Thank you. But now I need to do some work, so I'm not actually gonna do any reading, so bye. Okay, have some more thoughts about the last hour between worlds. So I still really couldn't care less about the main plot and like the mystery and the fight between good and evil, the mission. And I think because of the nature of the plot and the structure of the plot, it makes the pacing kind of weird. There's all these different echoes and layers of reality and they're getting further and further down as this like game progresses. And I think, is there 11 or is there 13 or something? I don't know. But it does mean that like every time they go down another layer, I don't know, it doesn't really feel like the stakes are getting higher. It just feels like you kind of like reset a bit, which makes sense with the plot mechanisms and the magic in the world. I'm not getting the sense of urgency that anything is like building to something. Like it obviously is, there's gonna be some big stand down at the end. I'm getting worried that there's gonna either be some sort of like heroic sacrifice and or bury your gaze kind of thing. I feel like it's not gonna be the kind of book that does bury your gaze. It feels very like it should have a gay happily ever after. That's where I feel like it's going. But I'm also, there's like a tiny little bit in me that's gonna go, I think they're gonna at least threaten it. I mean, they already have kind of multiple times, but I just like don't believe that they're gonna die. But with our main like romance love interests, I don't find their relationship like that compelling, but I do find it amusing. Like the dynamic between them is just comedic. I don't know how else to describe it. Like again, I have no stakes in the game. Like they could get together, they could not. I don't really care. Whatever makes them happy. But watching the two of them or listening to the two of them avoid their feelings, go through many misunderstandings. There was a really interesting twist / reveal, I will give this book that, related to the two of them and like a story that was like planted earlier. I was like, nice! That's kind of like significant for the two of them and their relationship. But it's just kind of funny to observe these two characters like as an outsider just like failing to get their shit together. But I guess they also are trying to like save the world whilst also figuring out how they feel about each other. So good for them that. But do you ever get this with a book where like your first impression then really sours the rest of your experience with it? And I feel like that's what's happened with this book, is that my first impression was not like a great one. Like it didn't like immediately captivate me. And so now I'm feeling like the rest of the book is a bit of a slog and it hasn't like redeemed itself. It almost like puts the book in a position where it has to prove itself to me, because I start off kind of being annoyed by it and like not liking it, and so it kind of like has to do more in order to appease me. Me, the almighty reader. I feel like I just get stuck in my one opinion of the book, and then it just grates on me and grates on me. Like the things that I found annoying at the beginning, I guess like they have continued. Like this character is just too competent, and I don't believe that the stakes are that high. Like I'm not bought into the dread, the threats. I don't know. But part of me does wish that I could like, I don't know, be a bit more open-minded a bit and allow the book to win me over. But it's not. It's not. I have started reading A Deadly Education. I've just read the first chapter, which is what I read for that first chapter's video, and I remember my feelings being a bit like meh at the time, but I feel more positively about it this time. I don't know why, I can't say, but it is funny that I've found that with other books as well, that like I've DNF'd and then come back to later. I'm really talking about A Court of Silver Flames here. And just wherever my headspace is at that time, the mood, the vibe, the thing that I'm after, it just like, it hits. So I'm glad I reread that first chapter, because there was a lot that I didn't remember in terms of like details of things going on. And I'm excited to continue. We shall see. This reading vlog is turning into a quick one. Okay, here's the situation. I have been ill and still very much recovering for like, I don't know, I'm on day 6 now, honestly. Dan has just taken Rowan out to a friend's birthday party. Like, I'm better now, hence why I'm filming, but I'm still recovering, weak, tired, don't want to overdo it. I've cancelled all my plans. Have promised I'll make the boys dinner tonight. If I went to the party, that would be me done for the day. We're managing our spoons. Managing our spoons. Fellow spoonies, you know. Okay, but with my spoons, I've just had a nap. I am going to continue reading A Deadly Education. And guys, since starting it, despite being ill for a week, I am 192 pages into this bad boy, and I'm in. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but I feel like we should extend that ever so slightly to don't judge a book by its first chapter. Or I feel like timing is so important, because even the first chapter of this book didn't grate on me as much this time around as it did the first time I read it, but maybe because I was reading it with slightly more openness rather than like going in with like judging in mind. But I do think there's something about timings when it comes to books, which is something that Moog said as well about their experience with this book too. They got ill and this was all they could muster. I'm ill and my brain's loving this. But what to say that doesn't spoil anything? One of the things that grated on me initially when I did the first chapters thing and I read the first chapter of this book was, I think I was like, it feels too YA for me. It's like magic kids, magic school. Like, I think I felt triggered when it comes to like Harry Potter and everything. But this is far from that, and it feels like a very good antidote. There's something so like
dry and dark about it, and yet some of the characters are still so lovable and you do care for them, even though like kids are getting eaten and killed by all sorts of deadly things left, right and center. I love the magic and the world building, like the way that magic works. I think I'm always a really big fan of fantasy where you understand the extent and the limitations of magic. Like you understand like what can make someone powerful, but also what can restrict that power as well. Like that kind of stuff, I don't know, really helps me buy into a magic system, having those really well thought out structures in place. And this definitely has that for me. And I think the other thing that I'm really loving about this in terms of the school environment is that it kind of reads a bit like prison fiction. Hear me out. But there is like a survival element to the school that they are in, and in terms of negotiating and trading resources, there's like popularity and hierarchies amongst the students there and the politics of all of that. And it feels very, from what I remember of like Orange is the New Black, in terms of like the cliques within the prison and like, yeah, trading resources and knowledge and like being useful to people, and it being like quite a cutthroat environment. It doesn't feel like a high school, it feels like a prison, which it kind of is. Like, I think they literally call the rooms that they sleep in cells. So, but also the way that the education system works is just very compelling to me. It just all feels very thought out. I just appreciate that. Our main character, Elle, is a very interesting one because she's full of incredibly powerful dark magic, but she doesn't want to use it, and she's a massive social outcast. But if people knew how powerful she was, then they would like want her on their team. But also she is very against the enclaves and the witches and wizards like having their groups of power to protect themselves and leaving all of the stragglers off to die. So there's also this like revolutionary element in the book, and I'm pretty sure that this is a trilogy. So there is a part of me that's like, okay, she's in her junior year. I have no idea what's going to happen at the end of this book. There's the sophomore year. Will that even happen? Will she do her graduation? Like, is this book her first Hunger Games, and then is the graduation going to be her Catching Fire Hunger Games, and then book 3 is going to be her like Revolution Mockingjay book? Do you know what I mean? Is that what's going to happen? But the character to me feels very well written in that whilst I don't agree with many of her decisions or like the things that she's thinking and like the way that she's going about things, I totally buy into her reasoning, and I don't find myself like screaming at the page like, no, do this, because it's like established so well who she is and why she thinks certain ways. And so then when she comes to certain conclusions, I'm like, that checks out, I believe that. And then her friendship with Orion, I really like as well. I feel like, again, that could be a slow burn romance over the 3 books. I don't think they're gonna get to it in this book, and I actually really don't want them to, if that's where it's going. I think it would be really refreshing if it didn't go there at all, but also I wouldn't be mad if it did eventually go there. I think I would be mad if it went there in this book. Maybe if there was like a tiny hint at the end, but at least for now, I enjoy the kind of like sparseness of what we're getting there. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm 192 pages in. But yeah, I'm just gonna, I think, read as much of this as I can until Dan and Rowan get home, or until I fall asleep again. I have 1 chapter left. I still don't know what's gonna happen, but also I'm a bit confused. And this happens to me sometimes, oftentimes with books, where somehow along the way I like miss a piece of information because then something is happening where I don't understand the reason why that needs to happen. And I'm like, why are they going back there? They did the thing and they saved the day and everything's okay. So why are they going back that way? They don't need to do that. And that's clearly like an important thing that they have to like go back and do a thing. thing, but I don't really quite understand why. So I'm like, I think I missed something somewhere. But I blame the fact that I spent a week like reading a fair chunk of this whilst I was very ill. But I should finish this tonight, and if not tomorrow, but I hope I finish it tonight. All right, I finished A Deadly Education by Novick, and woo! From the way that I'd seen people talk about this, I like knew that there was something coming, and it really does leave you on a cliffhanger and a perfect setup for a sequel. So it hooks you. It hooks you real good. Okay, but let's cast our minds back. I feel like it's been a while since I read that first book, but I want to consolidate my thoughts about these 3 books. So the first one I listened to the audiobook of, which was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sanju Mandana, and Moog was completely right in their predictions on this in terms of what they thought might be the thing that I don't like about it, which was wanting the more world building and politics. But that did not stop me actually overall loving and adoring this book. I remember having those thoughts and then like talking about it, about being like, oh, I want to know like the wider politics, and I want to understand more about the magic system and like the world that this is set in and all of that. And then that book went and just straight up called me out for it. And actually the book convinced me. And so I don't think there should be a sequel. I don't think this needs to be a series that then like zooms out and goes bigger and explores all of those themes, because I think if that happened, it would defeat the point, the entire point of this book. And it literally spells it out at the end, which is that not everybody has to be Katniss Everdeen and change the world. You can make the world just a little bit better for the people in your life, for the small community that surrounds you. And that is a message in real life that I believe in, like in terms of how we impact our world and how we impact people. I believe that we can, through small actions and through small things, really, change other people's lives for the better. In like real life situations, in reality, I firmly believe that. In my fiction, however, in my storybooks, I clearly crave some kind of revolution. But this was not the book for that. This book, though, I still rated 5 stars. This was a 5-star book for me just because it was so warm and funny. It felt very like just well tied together in terms of the plot and the pacing and like some of the reveals, the characters. The romance was great, but it didn't like feel too like at the forefront or like forced upon, and like the magic and all of that and the fantasy element was really great. Like I just think like it just had a really perfect balance of all of the elements and all of the themes and the things that it was trying to do. It just executed so well, and I loved it. And if I want more of my like magic plus politics and revolution and all of that, well, we've got the 3rd and final installment of Her Majesty's Royal Coven coming out very soon, and I feel like that will probably scratch that itch. Not every book has to be everything for me. So that was a win. Loved it. And I loved the voice as well, like the main character, Mika. I just thought that she was really great, really believable. Loved, 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 loved. Then we move on to The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. And as you will have gathered, I struggled with this book. I could not get out of my head whilst reading it. And I don't want to put too much blame for that on the book. It could just be me. It might just be me. But it was just one of those books where I couldn't stop rolling my eyes anytime somebody said something or something happened. It was just grating on me the whole way through, and I kind of wish that I could have gotten out of my head and just like let myself like enjoy the story and whatever, but I just couldn't. It just felt quite lacking. It didn't feel very intentional. It felt really claustrophobic. I didn't really understand what like the point of any of it was. This all sounds really harsh. I still gave it 3 stars because I don't think it's like a bad book, I just think it wasn't for me. Just wasn't for me. Like, I have to really hate a book to give it less than 3 stars. And I think the book was really great in terms of lots of different like kinds of representation as well. You know, we've got our mum hero, and it's also got like sapphic romance elements in it as well. It has a lot of good things going for it. One of the things that annoyed me though, there was a character who I thought was going to be quite pivotal because they like bring him in to the know of what's going on. He helps them out with some information, and then he gets knocked out, and then he's just out for the rest of the plot basically. And I find that kind of writing a bit lazy. Like, he was just unconscious for the rest of the story. Like, the main character got what she needed out of him in order to like continue on her quest and do her plot. And then it felt like the author didn't know what to do with him. Of like, oh, this guy's like now here, so we need to involve him a bit. Oh, but I don't know how to do that. We just needed to extract that information from him. Oh, let's just like knock him unconscious for the rest of the story. I don't know, that like frustrated me. There's gotta be like cleverer ways of doing that. Or even like doing that but like just executing it better. I don't know. I'm really curious if anyone else has read this book and what you thought of it. Like, am I being harsh? Was I just not able to get out of my head and just like in the wrong mindset? Like, what is going on? I believe that this is a series, but I have no interest in continuing. I'm a one and done for this book series. And then finally, the one physical book that I read, that I just finished, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. Now, I did manage to get out of my head for this one, and oh boy, am I glad. So Moog said that they thought that I might struggle or not like the like character voice. And I didn't mind it. I found her fine. I can see why some people might find her quite annoying, but I found her quite endearing and believable, and also just like quite funny, but not in a laughing with her way, in a laughing at her way. I don't know. I think some of the like jokes in here are the author rather than the character, if that makes sense. It's like the whole situation is so ridiculous. Like, you're kind of like laughing at the silliness of the whole thing. I don't know. But I had a great time. I really enjoyed this book, and you better believe that I will be continuing this series, because with a setup like that, with a cliffhanger like that, I'm also even more convinced on my Hunger Games theory in terms of like the structure of a trilogy. So this is the Hunger Games. So this is Elle, like fight number 1. She thinks it's gonna be like the fight of her life, but waiting to see what's coming next. Next time, we've got graduation. She's a senior. This is gonna be her catching fire Hunger Games, which she's like, fuck, this again. It's not gonna end the way it normally ends, is what I think is going to happen. So it's not going to be a normal graduation in the same way the Catching Fire Hunger Games was not a normal Hunger Games, because it was a huge like revolutionary extraction thing to set up for Mockingjay, which will be the 3rd book in this series, whatever that one's called. Because also the next book is called The Last Graduate. So it's like, is this the graduation to end all graduations in the same way that that Catching Fire Hunger Games was the Hunger Games to end all Hunger Games? Anyway, this is my theory. This is my working theory, that it's going to follow a very similar structure. And then the 3rd book will be World Revolution. I don't know. Anyway, I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars. I couldn't give it 5. I don't know why. I was holding back. Like, I cannot place what the thing is, but it just felt like it was lacking something. Just something. Or it was just more about like where I'm at in terms of the kinds of books I really, really love. But for me, in order to give something 5 stars, it has to be an obvious 5 stars. I have to be like, oh my God, loved that, blah, 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 no notes, 5 stars. Like, it has to be like no doubts at all. And I could feel myself like hovering over the 5 and the 4, and I was like, I don't know. And so because I had the doubts, I had to give it a 4.5. I don't make the rules. I make the rules. It's my own rating system, but I don't make the rules. So that's why it's a 4.5 for me. But I still love this, and I will be reading the rest. I don't know when, because there's other books that I want to read. But yeah, I'm in, guys. I'm in. You got me. You got me. So now I need to debrief with Moog. I need to let them know how I got on.
I love that I knew you wanted more world building in Very Secret Society. Like,
Yeah.
I knew you would.
Yeah, but I still gave it 5 stars because the book itself convinced me
It did.
that I was wrong.
It saw you. The book saw you through the ether and went, you specifically.
Yeah. And then called me out on it, and then was kindly persuaded me.
Kindly persuaded you. I think there is a sequel, but I think it's in the same world, not the same people. So I don't know how your feelings on that are.
Is it still like cozy small?
Yeah, I think it's like a bed and breakfast, if I'm remembering.
Right.
So I know
it
I've not
still
read that
like
one.
fits in with the message of the first book rather than like, because I feel like if it were to take it elsewhere, it would follow like the aunt's Lillian's career, because it felt like Lillian is the kind of character that I feel like I would normally be compelled to follow in a story.
Yeah, no, it's like some separate people in another little small contained place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not getting like the big political stratosphere.
Yeah. But I'm very glad
then,
you made me read that book.
Yes, excellent. I will give myself a star.
Let me ask you, actually. I'm really curious what you thought of my reaction to The Last Hour Between Worlds, considering that's the most plotty book on the list, maybe.
I think this is really fun because I liked the plot of this more than you liked the plot of this. And I think it's because I really like locked door murder mysteries, like one environment, you're plopped in, like Country House murder mystery, the door is locked, somebody dies, or like everything takes place in this school or this house. I'm like, yes. Yeah, I really like one setting places. So it is an interesting data point that's like not what you want. You want lots of places.
Yeah, because I was comparing it to The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. It felt very like that, which again is, well, lots of deaths, but still kind of like mystery locked into the same place. And even very similar to The Last Hour Between Worlds, because they're reliving the same day. Like there's a time loop situation going on as well. I liked that book. And I generally quite enjoy like time loop stories, like also Palm Springs, the film, brilliant.
I've not seen it, but I want to.
It's so good. But there was something about this one that just like did not grab me.
That's so interesting because I was like, I really thought I would like Evelyn Hardcastle, but was like, even
Fair
though
enough.
I love time loops, I love murder mysteries, I love what's going on here.
Yeah.
What is it? What is the difference?
Sometimes things just like don't stick. I think for The Last Hour Between Worlds, I couldn't get out of my head. And then I just could feel myself constantly like analyzing the book rather than just like being in the story. And sometimes it's not the book's fault, but like once you get in a certain mindset reading it, it's really hard to get yourself out of that. That's what I find anyway.
Yeah, like you're reading like an editor rather than a reader. Yeah,
I was feeling quite judgy whilst reading that book.
But it's really hard once you start being judgmental. This is a complete side note, but I'm currently reading a book that I had to look up if it was self-published, but no, it's a Big Five publisher, and like all of the like typo/grammatical problems in the first 50 pages, it's driving me bananas.
But it shouldn't be that obvious as well.
It's so obvious. I was like, that line doesn't make sense. There's an extra R in that word. There's been like 4 on one page.
Oh no.
Anyway.
I also love that we both dismissed and came back to A Deadly Education when we were ill.
Yes.
Because I read a lot of it whilst I was ill.
God, when you're sick and your brain just isn't clicking and you're just in Elle's head and you're like, yes, Elle, take me along for the ride. I love her.
I love being in her head.
It's great. I love that she's trying so hard to do good, but only because she knows she wants to do the other thing. She's like, well, I can't do that, so I've got to do the other thing. I love her.
It's such a fascinating like character premise that I love, and she's so different to me, and I just like I enjoy being in someone's head that is just like, she's like so inherently, intrinsically wants to do evil, but it feels like separate from her. It doesn't I actually feel like a true Elle is someone who wants to do good because that's what she actively wants. But there's this part of her that's like the prophecy part of her or whatever that's like big evil.
Like she wants to do good, but she thinks that she has to do bad. So she thinks she has to do that, but she doesn't want to. She's perfect. I named my laptop after her.
Oh my God, did you?
Yeah.
I think she's a great character. Yeah, I really loved like her and Orion's friendship and like, the way that she starts making friends with other people. I also I think I really like stories that have a bit of a survivalist kind of vibe to it. The way that the school, everyone's fighting for resources and popularity and trading and it's about status and the politics and the games of it all. It's very spicy to me.
I think you're going to have a good time with the rest of the series.
Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but I'm in. I'm in.
I really recommend reading them pretty close to reading Deadly Education. I did that when I reread A Deadly Education. I was just like, no, give me them. Give me this.
Yeah, I mean, the cliffhanger is pretty strong.
Also, the second one is my favorite, which I feel is really rare for trilogies. It's never the second one.
Oh my God, but this continues to prove my theory about The Hunger Games, because Catching Fire is the best book and the best film, and that's the second one. So,
well, we'll have to check back in. You'll have to read the other ones and then tell me what you think. And also, you get to be right. You get to have the right opinion about A Deadly Education.
Yay. This is a fun little book club.
Yeah, I love this book club of two. I really want to figure out, what is it? What is it that where we cross over and where we go over here? What's the little magic secret? What's
the center of our reading Venn diagram?
Yeah. What's the center? Because the center is clearly something, but the opposite ends are commenters, do you know? Can you tell us?
Analyze us. Tell us. Well, thank you, Moog. Thank you for picking some books for me to read so I didn't have to make decisions about what to read next.
Well, thank you for letting me pick books for you, because I love picking books for people. Let me pick more books for you.
Great.
So thank you so much for watching. Have you read any of these books? Please let me know what you thought in the comments. I would love to hear. I'm not sure what I want to read next that is on my TBR. I'm currently reading 2 books that obviously aren't on my TBR, because that's the way I roll. But let me see. Right, there's lots of books still on this list, but I am getting through them. I am ticking things off, but I also am adding things to it as well. Oops. Maybe I'll get to the Dave and Bad series that Moog also suggested for this video. And then also the Night Circus and Babel on there that I want to get to as well. Let me know in the comments what you think I should be reading next. Off of my TBR or off it, who knows. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.